How did a small, rebellious nation that was never supposed to survive become the most powerful country in history? The secret involves brutal wars, world-changing inventions, and a single currency that controls the entire global economy. To discover the forces that shape our world, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Today, we are going to talk about something extraordinary, something that shapes our world every single day. If I were to ask you which country is the most powerful in the world, I am sure that for many of you one name would immediately come to mind: America. But the real question is, why? Why is the United States of America the most powerful nation on Earth? What is it that makes it so dominant in its economy, its military, its technology, and its influence all over the globe? Is it just a story of luck? Or is there a much deeper, more interesting reason behind its incredible success? In today's story, we will uncover the full journey of America's rise to power. This is not just a history lesson. This is a story of big dreams, of ambition, and of terrible wars, of amazing new ideas, and of global leadership. We will explore everything right from the very beginning. We will learn how America was born, how it grew from a small collection of colonies into a giant nation, and how it became the superpower that it is today. Please stay with me until the very end, because I believe this is going to be a very informative and enjoyable explanation. So let's begin. To truly understand why America is the most powerful country in the world, we need to go back in time. We need to travel back to the very beginning. And when I say the beginning, I don't mean the year 1776, when the United States officially became a country. No, we have to go even further back than that. We have to go back to the moment of the discovery of America. For thousands and thousands of years, the vast lands of North America were home to many Native American tribes. These were not simple societies. They were advanced civilizations, each with its own rich culture, its own traditions, and its own unique way of life. But the world outside of North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, didn't know much about them. For a very long time, they were completely separate worlds. That all changed in the year 1492. An explorer from Italy named Christopher Columbus set sail from Spain. He was hoping to find a new, faster sea route to Asia. Instead, his ships arrived in the Americas. Now it's important to know he wasn't the very first European to arrive there. We know that Vikings from Scandinavia had visited centuries earlier. But Columbus's journey was different. It was the beginning of something much, much bigger: the colonization of America. After Columbus returned to Europe with stories of a new world, more and more Europeans started making the long and dangerous journey across the Atlantic Ocean. They were looking for many things. Some were looking for land. Others were searching for gold. And many were just hoping for new opportunities and a better life. The Spanish came, and the French came, and the British came. All of these powerful European countries wanted a piece of this new land. But in the end, it was the British who would shape America's destiny forever. By the 1600s, many British settlers began building towns and villages along the east coast of North America. These settlements grew and became known as the 13 Colonies. On paper, they were controlled by Great Britain, which was thousands of miles away across the ocean. But the people living there, the colonists, were starting to have their own ideas about life. They had come to America for freedom, for opportunity, and for a new beginning. However, Britain still ruled over them. It made laws for them, and it collected taxes from them. Over time, the people in the colonies started to feel that this was unfair. They felt oppressed. They began to believe that they should have the right to govern themselves, to make their own laws, and to build their own future. This feeling of frustration grew stronger and stronger, and it eventually led to something huge. It led to the American Revolution. In the year 1776, a group of brave leaders from the 13 colonies decided it was time. Men like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin decided to declare independence from Britain. They wrote a powerful document called the Declaration of Independence. It was a letter to the world, and it stated that America would now be a free and independent country. But Britain, the most powerful empire in the world at the time, did not want to lose its valuable colonies so easily. What followed was the American Revolutionary War. It was a long and difficult battle between the American colonists who were fighting for their freedom and the mighty British Army. The war lasted for 8 long years, but in the end, with courage and determination, America won. In 1783, the United States of America was officially recognized as an independent nation. It was a brand new country, full of big dreams and big ideas. But at that time, nobody in the world could have possibly imagined that this small young nation would one day grow up to become the most powerful country on Earth. After gaining its independence, America was still a relatively small country, mostly located along the Atlantic coast. But its leaders had a very big vision. They wanted to expand the nation westward across the entire continent and build a strong and prosperous nation. Over the next century, America grew at an incredible speed. There were a few key moments that made this happen. First, there was the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. The United States bought a huge piece of land from France. It was an enormous territory right in the middle of the continent. With this one single purchase, the size of America doubled almost overnight. Then came the period of westward expansion. Thousands of settlers, pioneers, and families began to move west. They traveled in wagons on horseback and on foot, searching for land, for work, and for a new life. It was a time of great adventure, but also great hardship. Later, from 1848 to 1855, something amazing happened. Gold was discovered in California. This news created a gold rush. Hundreds of thousands of people rushed to California, all hoping to find gold and become rich. This discovery brought a huge amount of wealth into the young country. At the same time, the Industrial Revolution was beginning in America. The country started to build factories, railroads, and big cities. By the late 1800s, the United States was no longer just a small, new country of farmers. It was quickly becoming a true economic powerhouse. But this period of growth also brought one of the biggest and most painful challenges in American history. In the 1860s, the country faced the Civil War. The nation was deeply, terribly divided over the issue of slavery. The southern states wanted to keep slavery because their economy, which was based on large farms called plantations, depended on the labor of enslaved people. The northern states, on the other hand, wanted to abolish or end slavery completely. In 1861, a terrible war broke out between the North, known as the Union, and the South, known as the Confederacy. It was a brutal and bloody conflict that lasted for 4 years. It was like a family fighting with itself. In the end, the North won the war. Slavery was finally abolished, and America, though wounded and scarred, became a stronger, more united nation. This terrible war was another important step in America's long journey to power. After the Civil War ended, it was as if America exploded with economic growth. The late 1800s and early 1900s are sometimes called the Gilded Age. During this time, the country changed at a dizzying speed. Railroads were built all across the country, connecting the East Coast to the West Coast. This network of steel rails tied the entire nation together. Factories and industries grew at an incredible rate. Big businesses involved in steel, oil, and banking became immensely powerful. New inventions like the telephone and the electric light bulb completely changed everyday life for millions of people. By the year 1900, America was already one of the wealthiest and most industrialized nations in the entire world. After winning independence and rapidly expanding its territory, the United States had already proven that it was a strong and ambitious nation. However, becoming the most powerful country in the world didn't happen overnight. It required more than just land. It required economic strength, military dominance, technological advancements, and global influence. One of the biggest reasons America became so powerful was its incredible industrial revolution. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, the United States transformed from a quiet agricultural society where most people were farmers into a noisy, busy industrial powerhouse. This was a time of massive economic and technological growth. Several key industries boomed, and America started producing goods at a scale that had never been seen before in human history. Let's look at the major industries that made America so powerful. First, the steel industry. America was blessed with rich natural resources like iron and coal, which are the essential ingredients for making steel. Steel was the building block of the modern world. It was needed for everything, for building railroads, for constructing giant bridges, for creating towering skyscrapers, and for making military weapons. A man named Andrew Carnegie found a way to make steel cheaply and in huge quantities. He became one of the richest men in history, and his work made America a giant in the world of steel. Next was the oil industry. Another man, a billionaire named John D. Rockefeller, came to control the oil industry. In those days, oil was becoming the lifeline of the economy. It was the fuel that powered machines in factories, and later, it would power cars and airplanes. Rockefeller's company, Standard Oil, was so large that it made America the biggest producer of oil in the world. Then there was transportation. America connected its vast country with thousands of miles of railroads. This made trade and travel so much easier and faster. It allowed businesses to transport raw materials to factories and finished goods to markets quickly and cheaply, helping the economy to grow even more. Finally, there was the rise of Superpower factories and mass production. A new idea, the assembly line introduced by the car maker Henry Ford, made it possible to produce goods much faster and cheaper than ever before. The automobile industry exploded. Soon, America became the largest car producer in the world. Cars were no longer just for the rich. Ordinary people could afford them. By the early 1900s, the U.S. economy was absolutely booming. It had more factories, more resources, and more innovation than almost any other country. This gave America a huge economic advantage over its competitors in Europe. Although America was already becoming a dominant economic force, it was World War I from 1914 to 1918 that truly pushed the country into a position of global leadership. At first, America stayed neutral in the war. It watched from a distance as the great nations of Europe fought each other in a terrible and destructive conflict. But in 1917, the United States made the decision to join the war against Germany and its allies. Here's why this decision was so important for America's rise. America had a strong and growing military with modern weapons and fresh soldiers. It also supplied the countries it was helping, like Britain and France, with food weapons and money. This made America's economy even stronger. By the end of the war, much of Europe was destroyed. Cities were in ruins, economies were broken, and millions of people had died. But America was thriving. After the war, America became the richest country in the world. While other nations were struggling just to rebuild, the U.S. was booming with new businesses, new technologies, and a growing middle class. But this was just the beginning of its journey to the top. Even though America was doing very well after World War I, things suddenly changed in 1929. The stock market in New York crashed, and this led to the Great Depression. It was a terrible time. During the Depression, millions of Americans lost their jobs. Businesses and factories shut down. The entire economy seemed to collapse. It was one of the worst economic crises in modern history. However, America's ability to recover from this disaster, to pull itself back up, proved its strength and resilience. Then another global conflict began, World War II, which lasted from 1939 to 1945. At first, just like in World War I, America tried to stay out of the war. But that all changed on a day in 1941 when Japan attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. This surprise attack forced the United States to enter the fight. Why was World War II so important for America's rise to absolute power? There are a few reasons. America became what was called the arsenal of democracy. This means it became a giant factory for the countries fighting against Germany, Italy, and Japan. While other countries were struggling to produce what they needed, the U.S. became the world's largest producer of tanks, airplanes, ships, and weapons. Its factories were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, producing military equipment at an unbelievable speed. This incredible production not only helped America and its allies win the war, but it also created millions of jobs, which finally pulled the country out of the Great Depression. Then in 1945, near the end of the war, America did something that changed the world forever. It became the first and only country to use nuclear weapons in a war. The bombing of the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki forced Japan to surrender. This terrifying display of power proved that America had the most powerful military technology in history. No other country in the world had nuclear weapons at that time. This gave the United States an unbeatable advantage. By the end of World War II, America was not just a strong country, it was without a doubt the strongest country in the world. After World War II, the world saw that America had only one major rival left, the Soviet Union, which was made up of Russia and other surrounding countries. This led to a long and tense period known as the Cold War, which lasted from 1947 to 1991. The Cold War was not a traditional war with direct fighting between the two superpowers. Instead, it was a period of intense rivalry. It was a competition of ideas, of influence, and of power. America wanted to spread democracy and capitalism around the world. The Soviet Union wanted to spread communism. To prove its superiority, America did several things. It built the world's strongest military with more advanced weapons than anyone else. It created alliances like NATO to protect Western countries from potential Soviet aggression. It invested huge amounts of money in science and technology. This led to amazing achievements like the space race, a competition to see who could explore space first. And it continued to expand its economy, becoming the world's biggest exporter of goods. The Cold War finally came to an end in 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed. With its main rival gone, the United States was left as the only superpower on Earth. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, as the world moved into a new era, America once again took the lead in global innovation. The digital revolution, the shift to computers and the internet, was driven by American companies. Think about it. Microsoft, led by Bill Gates, dominated the computer software industry. Apple, led by Steve Jobs, revolutionized personal technology with products like the iPhone. And more recently, companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Tesla have become the leaders of the internet, e-commerce, and the new world of artificial intelligence. Now let's talk about something very important, the US dollar. One of the biggest reasons why America has so much control over the world is because of its currency. Today, almost 90% of all global trade is conducted using US dollars. This means when countries like China, India, Germany, or Japan trade with each other, they often use dollars, not their own currencies. These countries also store large amounts of their national savings in US dollars. The two most valuable resources in the world, oil and gold, are traded in dollars. This means every country needs dollars to buy them. But why is the US dollar so powerful? In the 1970s, America made a very clever deal with Saudi Arabia, one of the world's biggest oil producers. The agreement was simple. Saudi Arabia would sell its oil only in US dollars. In return, America would provide military protection. This was called the petrodollar agreement. It meant that every country that wanted to buy oil had to first buy US dollars. This made the American currency incredibly important and powerful. America's central bank, the Federal Reserve, controls the supply of dollars worldwide. This gives America a unique power. If America wants to pressure another country's economy, it can change interest rates or even print more dollars, which can make it harder for other economies to compete. No other country has this level of control over the global economy. Because it is seen as the safest and most stable currency, almost every major country stores its wealth in US dollars. This is called being the global reserve currency. So even when other countries become richer and more powerful, they still rely on the US financial system. Now let's talk about the American military. America has the largest and most powerful military in the world. But what makes it truly unstoppable is not just its size. It is its global reach and its incredibly advanced technology. Why is the US military unmatched? First, America has over 750 military bases in more than 80 countries around the world. Think about that for a moment. This means the US can move its forces and strike almost anywhere in the world within just a few hours. No other country has such a widespread military presence. Second, the US spends more money on its military than the next 10 countries combined. This massive budget allows it to have the most advanced fighter jets, drones, submarines, and nuclear weapons. It leads the world in new areas like AI, high-powered warfare, cyber defense, and military technology for space. The US Navy is the largest and most powerful in the world. It controls every major ocean and trade route. This makes it almost impossible for other countries to challenge America's dominance at sea. And finally, the US is a founding member of NATO, a military alliance with over 30 countries. The agreement says that if any country attacks a NATO member, all other members will respond. Because of all this military strength, no country dares to directly challenge the United States. It is the only nation that can project its power anywhere in the world at any time. In the modern world, power comes from new sources, data, social media, and artificial intelligence, or AI. And today, America controls most of them. AI is the future, and America is leading the way in AI. Research and development. Companies like OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and NVIDIA are creating AI models that will revolutionize everything from warfare to healthcare to finance. This helps keep America ahead of every other nation in technological power. Most global financial transactions go through a system called SWIFT, which is largely controlled by the US and its allies. With this control over the internet, AI, and global finance, America can influence economies, shape global events, and project its power in ways that no other country in history ever could. Let's think about brands like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Starbucks, and Nike. These are not just companies. They are symbols of American culture that are recognized all over the world. Even in countries that might disagree with American politics, these brands are still everywhere. And think about the English language itself. English is the global language of business, of science, and of diplomacy. Most major universities, tech companies, and global organizations operate in English. Because of this, people who want to succeed in the world often feel they must learn English, which indirectly increases America's influence. One of the key reasons America is considered the most powerful nation is its massive influence on global culture. The U.S. has shaped entertainment, fashion, language, and even our lifestyles across the entire planet. Hollywood is the most influential film industry in the world. American movies are watched in nearly every country. They set global trends in storytelling, in filmmaking, and in technology. Huge blockbuster movies like Titanic, The Avengers, and Avatar have broken international records, proving that Hollywood's influence extends far beyond America's borders. These films often promote ideas of democracy, freedom, and individual ambition, influencing how people around the world view life and its possibilities. Even countries with their own strong film industries often copy Hollywood's storytelling techniques and special effects. American music has also dominated the world for decades. From Elvis Presley to Michael Jackson, from Beyoncé to Taylor Swift, American artists have set global trends in pop, rock, hip-hop, and jazz. The influence of American music is so strong that even artists in non-English-speaking countries often sing in English, hoping to break into the huge U.S. market. American television shows like Friends, Breaking Bad, and Stranger Things have gained millions of loyal fans worldwide. Streaming platforms like Netflix and Disney+, which are headquartered in the U.S., distribute American content globally. This constant exposure to American entertainment spreads not only the English language, but also American values and ways of thinking. Even our daily habits like drinking coffee on the go, wearing blue jeans, or working in large open-plan offices have been heavily influenced by American culture. The way people around the world think about success, about entrepreneurship, and about social mobility is often shaped by American ideals of hard work and ambition. The U.S. was the first country to land a man on the moon back in 1969, a powerful moment that proved its superiority in space exploration. Today, NASA continues to lead the world in space technology, planning new missions to Mars, launching advanced satellites, and partnering with private companies like SpaceX to expand the possibilities of space travel. America has also been at the forefront of the digital age. The creation of the Internet, the rise of social media, and the development of artificial intelligence have all been driven by American companies and thinkers. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter have completely changed the way people communicate, while Google has made information and knowledge accessible to almost everyone on the planet. The U.S. is also home to the world's leading medical research institutions, such as the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins University. Many life-saving treatments, vaccines, and medical technologies have been developed in America, improving healthcare for people worldwide. During the COVID-19 pandemic, American pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Moderna were at the forefront of developing effective vaccines at a speed never seen before. The American economy is the largest in the world, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of over $26 trillion. It is home to the world's biggest companies and attracts investors from all over the globe. American companies have a presence in almost every country, and the United States exports everything from technology to food, making it a key player in the global economy. The U.S. is often called the land of opportunity, a place where small startup companies can grow to become billion-dollar giants. This culture of innovation has produced some of the world's most famous entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates, whose companies have truly changed the world. One of the most defining characteristics of America's global dominance is its deep, unwavering commitment to the ideas of freedom and opportunity. Throughout its history, America has provided a stage where talent, hard work, and new ideas can truly thrive, often regardless of a person's background. The country has been a beacon of hope for millions of people seeking a better life, and this openness to new people and new ideas has fueled its incredible success. Unlike many other powerful nations in history, America does not define its strength only by its land, its military, or its economy. Instead, it thrives because of the people who call it home. America has always welcomed dreamers, thinkers, and doers from every corner of the world. People like Albert Einstein, who was born in Germany, and Elon Musk, who was born in South Africa, came to America and found an environment that allowed them to turn their incredible ideas into reality. The country attracts the best minds from around the world because it fosters a culture of endless possibilities. In many nations, strict social rules and traditions can limit a person's ability to succeed, but America at its best thrives on meritocracy. The idea that if someone has a brilliant idea or an entrepreneurial spirit, they are not held back by their family background or social class. Instead, they are often given the tools and opportunities to succeed. This is why some of the most successful business leaders, scientists, and artists in history have emerged from America. A key reason why America remains number one is its amazing ecosystem of innovation. The country leads the world in technology, medicine, space exploration, and artificial intelligence. Places like Silicon Valley in California are famous hubs of creativity where the world's brightest minds come together to push the boundaries of what is possible. The government's support for research and development helps ensure that the country stays on the cutting edge of innovation. Beyond innovation, America maintains the most powerful military force on the planet. With an annual defense budget that is larger than the next several countries combined. The U.S. military is an unparalleled force in the air, on land, at sea, and in space. The U.S. Navy helps ensure that global trade routes remain open and safe. The Air Force dominates the skies, and the Army and Marines are ready to protect American interests across the world. The presence of U.S. military bases in many different parts of the world reinforces America's influence and serves as a powerful deterrent against any potential threats. With the rise of other global powers, some people question whether America will continue to dominate in the future. However, history has shown that America has an unmatched ability to adapt and to reinvent itself. Its powerful economy, its military strength, and its deep cultural influence make it highly unlikely that any other nation will surpass it in the near future. As long as America continues to embrace innovation, diversity, and democracy, it will likely remain the most powerful nation on Earth. As we have explored in our story today, the United States is without a doubt a global powerhouse. Its economy, military innovation, and cultural influence make it one of the most dominant nations in history. But does that mean America is perfect? Absolutely not. No country is perfect. Every single nation has its own strengths and its own weaknesses, and the United States is no exception. Let's take a moment to talk honestly about some of the challenges that America faces today. One challenge is home ownership and the distribution of wealth. The American dream is often associated with owning your own home. But the reality is quite different for many people. As of recent data, the home ownership rate in the U.S. is around 65%. That means about 35% of Americans, more than one-third of the population, still rent their homes or struggle to afford to buy one. The wealth gap is also growing. While some people in America accumulate billions of dollars, many other Americans live paycheck to paycheck, meaning they have very little money left after paying their monthly bills. The top 1% of the wealthiest Americans now own more wealth than the bottom 90% of the population combined. This highlights a deep and growing inequality. Another challenge is the healthcare system. The U.S. is one of the most advanced countries in the world for medical research, but getting access to that healthcare remains a major issue for many citizens. Unlike many other developed nations, America does not have universal healthcare. This means millions of people struggle to afford medical treatment. The average American spends more than $12,000 every year on healthcare, making it the most expensive system in the world. Sadly, many people avoid going to the doctor because of these high costs, which can lead to worse health problems in the long run. Related to this are issues with obesity and health. While the U.S. is known for its fast food culture, this comes with a serious price. Over 40% of American adults are considered obese, which leads to serious health problems like diabetes and heart disease. The country spends billions of dollars on treating obesity-related illnesses, making it a growing national crisis. Then there is education and student debt. America has some of the best universities in the world, famous names like Harvard and MIT. But getting a higher education is extremely expensive. The average student graduates from college with over $30,000 in debt. Many young people spend decades of their lives paying off these loans. Unlike in some European countries where college is free, or low-cost American students often start their careers burdened with heavy financial loans. Finally, despite its great wealth, the U.S. has a significant problem with homelessness and poverty. Over 600,000 people experience homelessness on any given night. Many of them struggle to find shelter, food, and health care. Big wealthy cities like Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco have seen rising rates of homelessness, often caused by very expensive housing and a lack of affordable solutions. So what is the lesson we can learn from all of this? The main lesson is that no country is perfect. America is incredibly powerful, but it has serious challenges just like any other nation. Strength does not mean perfection. Every country has its own struggles, whether it's poverty, inequality, or political division. Instead of only praising or criticizing a nation, perhaps the best thing we can do is to try to learn from each other. America's spirit of innovation, its culture of opportunity, and its global leadership are truly inspiring. But other countries around the world excel in areas where America struggles, like providing universal health care, affordable education, and strong social safety nets. The real power, perhaps, lies in understanding, in improving, and in respecting each nation's unique strengths and weaknesses. I hope you enjoyed this story and learned something new today. If you did, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more daily videos to help you learn English. Thank you for listening. I will see you in the next one.